All right, this is George. He's the laser ham. He sells a product called the Jungle Antenna, which I have one over here. I bought it at Free Fest. He's based in Nashville, and I'll let him have the floor.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, my name is George Christopoulos, KO4HVI. I go by the laser ham online just because everyone needs some sort of handle and people have a hard time remembering KO4HVI. I have a product called the Jungle Hub, the Jungle Hub antenna. I will talk about that in a second. First, a little bit about myself. I've been a ham for several years now. I got into the hobby originally for emergency communications. I am formerly a network engineer. So my profession kind of goes along with being a radio amateur. They're synergistic hobbies and professions. I'm no longer a network engineer for various reasons. Right now my main job is I do radon inspections in the state of Tennessee. It is much more satisfying and lucrative to work on your own than being an employee in a large corporation. I'll just leave it at that. As part of becoming an amateur, I, of course, wanted to get more into emergency communications and that sort of thing. So I took a few classes, and one of the classes I took was just a basic radio class. And of course, the first thing that... Somebody have a question?
No.
Okay. One of the first things they do is have you build your own ground plane antenna. We've all done it. We have the connector, and you either twist on or solder 4 bits of coat hanger together and prove that you get on the air with something very simple. Well, I did that, except it was with a 2-post BNC adapter and some electric fence wire. And we used some sticks to hold the radios apart, and we got online. I got on the air. So that's what we did. The class was, like I said, basic radio class, a lot of fun, learned a lot of things. But then I thought, the antenna proved to be incredibly effective, but not very portable. I mean, you have all these things, very fragile connections, and you couldn't really put it into a backpack or take it with you at all. You basically had to take it apart and either try to stow it somewhere or throw it away and just make another one later. So I got to thinking about how I could make that antenna more portable, because, like I said, it was very effective. It allowed us to use our handheld radios that were 5 watts and be able to either be very, very sensitive or to really reach out and go many, many miles on just the 5 watts. So I came up with a design where I used flexible antenna wire, and I 3D printed a hub in the middle that would take place of either the SO239 connector or the 2-post BNC adapter. And then use, at the time, fiberglass struts to hold the radios apart. And that worked fairly well. I wasn't quite happy with the design, so I improved it over time. And my latest version is this, which I'm not sure how well you can see it, because Zoom thinks that it's part of the background. So this is the antenna folded up, the current version, which uses a flexible strut design. And to unfold it, you just do this. Again, Zoom is going to kill this. But you sort of see what happens here. I have the hub in the middle, which is 3D printed, and has a BNC connector on it. And it's printed using UV-resistant plastic, and it's filled with, I fully potted this, so it's filled with a polymer to keep the connections out of the weather. It's weatherproof. The struts are also 3D printed and very flexible. So it's just stiff enough to hold the radials apart while, being able to get folded up and fit in your backpack very easily. Does anyone have any questions about this design?
Anybody?
Is that a newer design?
Or muted?
No.
Yeah, we have a question.
Is that a
Yep.
newer, is that a newer design than the one because I think I bought one at Free Fest.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's my design. I came up with this idea. I mean, obviously, I didn't come up with the idea of a ground plane antenna, or as some people call them, jungle antennas, because I believe the military uses them too.
Yeah, no, I mean, since Free Fest, have you updated it? Because it looks...
Yes, yes.
Okay.
At Precast, I think I was still using the fiberglass struts.
Yeah.
It was fiberglass inside of a bit of tubular webbing with some grommets on the end.
Okay.
That's the
This
version.
is
That's the version we
using
have here.
a material called TPU, thermoplastic urethane. And like I said, it's just stiff enough to hold the radials apart, but not so stiff that you can't just stuff it in a backpack. It makes it much more packable, much more stowable than the one that you're passing around the room right now.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
But yeah, the wire I use is standard antenna wire. It's flex weave. It's been around since the 70s. I find it works very, very well. Obviously, it's very bendable. And there's no coils, there's no inductors in here, there's no resistors, anything. So it's very, very efficient for the tuning bands. I have them in 2 meters, which also works fairly well on MERS, and 70 centimeter. I have it in 1.25 meters, which is the world's loneliest band, the unloved band. And I actually also have one in just 70 centimeters / GMRS, and that's popular actually in the trucking community because they're all scared to get their licenses for some reason. I have no idea why, but it's just a smaller version. It doesn't have the strut because it doesn't need to, but is also very efficient for what it is.
So each antenna is monoband?
Excuse me?
So each antenna is monoband?
Not really. The 2 meter antenna, again, works well on MURS, MERS. It works well on 70 centimeter, at least the upper portion of it, and it even works okay on GMRS. So, if I wanted to, I could say it's a quad band antenna, but that would be kind of disingenuous because that's, a lot of 2 meter antennas say they work on 70 centimeter, but we all know that's not quite true. It is the third harmonic, but it's not as efficient as being actually having an antenna cut for 70 centimeters like this. Like this little guy. The 1.25 meter antenna is a monoband because there's no harmonics involved. There are no other bands that work with that. But the big innovation here, obviously, the ground plane antenna is 100 years old, over 100 years old. If you get a copy of this book, which is the ARRL, if I can focus, it's Portable Antenna Classics. The ground plane antenna is in this book, so it's not a new idea. I think what I bring to what little bit of innovation I bring is making it with new materials. I'm bringing 3D printing into it so I can do rapid prototyping, which is the big win. That's the thing that allows me to do this, allows me to make it, is I print I print the hub myself, I print the struts myself, There's a little isolation ring that's labeled with the band. I print that myself. And 3D printing is what allows me to do that, because if I were to do this using traditional manufacturing, first of all, the prototyping would have been prohibitively expensive. And second of all, doing a production run of anything, especially these days, is ridiculous. So that's the innovation that I'm bringing to this particular antenna. And I know a lot of other hams use 3D printing to print different housings and different brackets. And I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful addition to the hobby.
What printer do you use?
I currently have 4. The first printer I used was a very old Ender 6, a Creality Ender 6. And that is a great printer, but I had to upgrade it quite a bit. Sank a lot of money into that printer to make it capable of printing the materials I needed. Because I'm not using the standard materials that you use to print figurines out of that you might see. You know, if you ever go to Etsy or if you ever go to any sort of craft shows, you see dozens of tables filled with these little figurines. I'm not using that. I have to use a engineering material called ASA, because that's UV resistant and also won't melt in your car like the materials that they make figurines out of. And also TPU is not a normal material. It's difficult to work with because it's very flexible. So I had to upgrade my first printer a lot to get it to work properly. And then after the design was proven effective and popular, I've sold probably about 350 of these by now, of the various models. I was able to purchase a few more machines, so I'm up to 4 right now. I have the original Ender 6, which was heavily modified. I have a newer Prusa Core 1, which is a Czech printer from the Czech Republic. And I have 2 large format printers that allow me to print my struts, because each one of the struts is approximately 17 inches long, or about 17 inches long. And that is too big for most home 3D printers, so I had to purchase 2 large format printers to be able to print those.
So you're using a conductive plastic?
Excuse me?
Is that a conductive plastic?
No, absolutely not. I did not want to use conductive plastics. I know the carbon fiber plastics are popular these days because of the added rigidity and the dimensional stability it adds to 3D prints, but that would defeat the purpose of, that wouldn't defeat the purpose, it would make it more complex. You'd have to have more variables that I have to account for. So none of these plastics are conductive.
Well, you got a piece of wire inside then?
Inside on the antenna you have, inside the nylon sheath there is just fiberglass. I mean, and inside my flexible struts, there's nothing. It's just that. There's no wiring in it. They're just structural in nature. They're just struts. The only wire is the wire coming out of the top of the hub, which is the radiating element for the ground plane, and then the 3 wires coming out the sides of the hub are just ground radials. It works the same as any vertical antenna. It's just a slightly different configuration. Now, for example, the antenna you stick on top of your car, the vertical is the radiating element, and the ground plane is the roof of your car. If you all have towers, then you know you're burying radials around the base of the tower. That it's the exact same concept. It's just in this, the radials are attached, and there's 3 of them instead of the 16 if you, or more if you have a tower, or just the flat top of your car if you're using a regular mobile vertical. That is actually another advantage of this design of the antenna is because it has both sides of electrically has both sides of the antenna as part of it. You don't have issues with the shielding on the antenna feed line radiating like you would with other portable verticals like a J-pole.
How do you use that antenna? How do you deploy that antenna?
You deploy it by hanging it. You throw a line up into a tree or from a mast, and you attach it to the ring here, and you just hang it, and then put the struts out to hold the radials apart. The connection hangs straight down from the BNC connector in the bottom of the hub.
Do you make different models with different type of connectors, or is it only
Right now,
BNC?
right now it's only BNC because that's what's popular in the portable market. You have a lot of radios that use the BNC connectors. And then the radios that do use the other connectors are typically SMA, and you can buy the SMA to BNC very inexpensively.
Any other questions?
What's the power? What kind of power can you put there?
Is there a power limit?
No, you can go right up to, I'm using real antenna wire. My connector is an Amphenol connector. They're directly connected inside the hub. There are no resistors, there's no capacitors, there's no coils. You could run it at legal limit if you wanted to. I run this off a mobile unit before, so up to 50 watts without any issue. I'm sure you could run it higher if you want.
500 watts.
Again, because there's nothing fancy going on here, just direct connection. Everything inside here is either crimped or soldered.
Okay. Oh yeah, how much are those? And where can people find you, and how much do they cost?
Okay, you can find me at thelaserhand.com. It's written right there on the side of the hub on the antenna. It's also on the ring, the isolation ring. And I sell on eBay and Etsy, and of course, live at events. My next event is in North Carolina. My products, as you could probably figure out, are popular not only with hams, but with the preparedness community. So my next event is going to be in North Carolina at something called Mountain Readiness. It's a very good show for me. I've been going there for a few years now.
Cool.
But people have these not only in their backpacks when they're doing POTA activations, but they have them in their go kits and they have them in their MCOM kits. I think I have at least one Aries team using these.
If we order one, will we get this new model?
Yes, I don't make that old model anymore. It'll just be the new flexible model.
And what's the price?
Oh, what was the price? Somebody was asking.
The price online for these is $55, but I will give you guys a code you can put in to save some dollars there. Give you a 10% off. I'll generate one for you and I'll send it to you. And anyone in the club will be able to get 10% off, which basically would pay for shipping. Because I sell for $55, and the reason I do that is it's about $5 for shipping, and people, instead of paying paying $50 for the antenna and paying $5 for shipping, they'd rather pay $55 and get free shipping. Because people are like that. So the other thing I like about this design, and it's almost anti-ham, is that it's all one piece. I know we all love going out and putting together our antennas. And even if we're at field day, you want to put together the antenna, it's got 1,000 pieces, and you're going to drop a wing nut in the grass. It's just going to happen. So you bring extra wing nuts. Because I also have MCOM in mind, there are no parts to lose. It's completely one piece, intact, all integrated, nothing to lose. I have some other designs for different antennas in the future. I want to make a 6-meter version of this. The problem is that the struts and the radials are all going to be about 4 foot in length at 6 meters. So I have a different strut design I'm going to use. I'll probably be using similar antenna cable, so you can just wrap that up. But the struts have to come apart in a certain way, so they're still one piece, but they're foldable. Now you can fold them when it's stowed, and you unfold them and kind of lock them into place when you want to use them. Similar to, and you've probably seen those bungee tent poles. So there's sections, and you pull them apart, and they fold them, and they have a bungee between them. I didn't want to do that because the bungees wear out rather quickly if you use them a lot. But I have something similar in mind that is from a tougher material and will hopefully work better. I also want to do that for, if you get me drinking a little bit, I might design one for 10 meters as well. Those are be about 9 or 10 feet long for each one of the elements, which will make a rather large antenna.
So you've got 2 models, you got 3 models, but 2 of the models do 70 centimeter. Does the one that's just 70 centimeter, would you say that it gets better signal than the other one, or
well, for a receiving antenna, if you want to just have a receiving antenna, I would recommend the 2-meter version, since that performs very well. If you're going to be transmitting 70 centimeter, the 70 centimeter antenna will work much better. I've even taken that and cut it so it's tuned for GMRS, and the GMRS people have gotten very good results with that. I also have a future design for a roll-up Yagi antenna. And I've done it before using fabric. Unfortunately, I'm not a tailor, so it looked very, very ugly. And by very ugly, I mean exceedingly so. So I don't currently offer it, but I have one for a roll-up Yagi antenna for 70 centimeter and rolled up to a bundle about a little bit, rolled up into a bundle about the size of my 1.25 meter antenna. So imagine this, but then you roll up a piece of fabric and it would have the radials or the elements in there, and it would be very, very portable. It would be a Yagi. You have all the benefits of Yagi, but you wouldn't have to worry about all the elements sticking out and it being not very portable. But more antennas coming. It's just I need time to design them so they're not ugly. So if there's a takeaway here, it's, we're hams. We love to experiment. There's new technologies, new manufacturing technologies out there right now. Might as well take advantage of them, especially say 3D printing, because it allows for incredibly rapid prototyping. The prototyping cycle with 3D printing is amazing. You could have a design, create it in CAD, print it out, try it, make changes, and then do that multiple times a day, depending on how big the piece is. But that's what I was doing to come up with this. Is I have an idea, I print it out, I try it, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, make changes, redesign it in CAD, and print it out again. And you wouldn't have to spend a lot of money going to a machine shop or try to carve it out of wood or anything like that. And then when it came time to manufacture the manufacturing cost was the same as the prototyping cost, which is basically the cost of the plastic you used. So don't be afraid if you have a design in mind, if you have something that's bothering you, you need a bracket design, you need something like that, it's no longer, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of time on your lathe, you don't have to get your mill out and try to get that all calibrated. You can just print it out, try it, and then when you're happy with the design, then you can worry about production depending on what material you ultimately need.
Awesome. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
We were worried you weren't gonna make it at first.
I'm preparing for the show this weekend, so I was in my workshop and I just lost track of time.
No worries. Thank you for joining us.
And I will see you guys at Pre-Fest next year.
Awesome. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Fantastic. That was very, very interesting. I personally learned something from that. I never would have thought of making a Yagi out of fabric. That was interesting.
Yeah, but it's ugly.
Really unnearly.
But it would have worked.
Aren't they all?
Never would have thought of that. Yes, Rick?
Yeah, hey, I'll talk about it. I'm the president of MERA, and we came to a difficult decision a couple of weeks ago. We are not sponsoring Pre-Fest next year. I don't know if you guys have heard that or not, but it has gotten to be where it's financially a struggle for MERA, and Bartlett continues to raise their prices, and we go in the hole considerably, and so and then all the members on the team are old, aging out, and it has just become, unfortunately, just become too much of a task for us to do anymore. So Pre-Fest is not going to happen next year. It's a sad thing. We've done it since 2009, I think. We raised almost $80,000 for Lavonder Children's Hospital, and it was a difficult decision, and so the team that run Pre-Fest decided not to go forward, and the club voted that way also, and we just can't do it anymore, guys. It's you know, and someone wants to pick it up. You know, I wouldn't make it a Pre-Fest. That's a hard thing to do, because you know, I'd make it a regular old ham fest where you charge to get in and you charge for tables, because we did not want to do that, because we kind of made our statement early on that it's a Pre-Fest and we're not going to charge people for this stuff. And, you know, we didn't want to change that. So, you know, the decision was made, you know, not have it. So it was a tough decision. So I hope you guys understand. And we'd still love to see a ham fest here in Memphis or Bartlett, but it's not going to happen from Mara. So, sad day for us. So we really had to struggle. Sorry.
Well, thank you, Rick. Thanks for letting us know that. With that, are there any other announcements from the club? Call one more time for announcements. All right, seeing none. I do have one request. I don't want to have, I do need to see all of the board for just a real quick minute up front. Not calling a board meeting. I just need to ask y'all a couple of questions and follow up on something. And we'll follow up on that. But I would like, since we're all here, to have a quick discussion with all of the board members. And with that, I would certainly entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? I thought I heard a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Don't forget your door prize tickets if you haven't filled it out. And